Okay, we're gonna try doing this, holding this in one hand. Sorry for the noise of the traffic going by, but there are cars that are going to go by. We're doing a little modification to get a filter to protect the unit and dry on a job that we're going to do tomorrow, where we're going to be recovering 3 units, 3 LG 5-ton units, and taking the gas out, weighing it, seeing how much gas is lost in the last, like something like 8 years or something like that. See if any gas is lost, weigh it, and then put it back into the system. And if there's anything missing, we put fresh gas back in. We're gonna reuse the gas, so it's gonna go into a fresh container. So we got a fresh container, but I have to draw a vacuum on the container to make sure the container is dry, even though it's a new cleaned out dryer. The filtered gas going to go in, then the filtered gas goes back to the unit after it goes in and recovered. And so this is the modification going on here. So attached here to take in the refrigerant, have a shut-off valve right here, go through the filter into the unit, out of the unit. It'll go into the tank. Okay. So right now, that's San Francisco. So I will put, right now it says high pot because it's exposed to the atmosphere. I have to put this down while I do this. Now this will give you a good example too. When you try to pull a vacuum on a tank, the valves have packing in them right here. They're crunched and they have a packing inside, and on the shaft those could leak. Since you're maybe automotive guys watching this, you guys aren't used to king valves. On the really old Yorks and Tecumsehs, they used to have them. They were small ones, and they had a 1/4 inch square that you would unratchet so you could bottom seat or top seat to either plug off the compressor or the system to save refrigerant. Don't use that system no more. But you need to put some nylog. When I open this up, you got to put nylog on the shaft so it seals around the shaft. Because you literally, if you try to draw a deep vacuum on these, you literally can leak up the shaft and it'll show that you have a leak. You don't have a leak. Well, you do have a leak. It's not the tank, it's actually the shaft seal. And I'll show you how to do one of these. One-handed. Great, I'm gonna drop it on the floor and get dust on my seal. I really need to get a tripod for this thing. Okay, so we're taking off the 3/8. See, this is a 3/8, and we're putting on the straight. That's a 45, and that's a 45. Where'd my straight go? Here's my straight. This is my straight, and this is 1/4 inch. So we have an O-ring in the gasket there. So I'm going to show you how this seats up. You see how that goes? And it has a disc that goes in that groove, and then the O-ring. So that goes like that. And trying to do something one-handed again. And let me take this out of telephoto. I need 2 hands again. Okay. Now it would really help if I would stop losing stuff. Hey Tommy, hold this for me. Watch out, don't touch the screen because it'll shut off. Okay, so got that there. Okay, take a close look at this. You see how both half of these fit inside that groove right there? So you press it in a little bit, it's nice and secure. This is on a double cam action. Goes up, over, comes down inside. Have to open this a little bit more because we put a slightly bigger one in there. A little bit more. And then you see how that is, then you tighten it down. Just a little bit. Okay, that's good enough. So now I'm going to take this and put it straight into the 1/4 inch fitting on the tank. I mean, these gloves have nylon on them, so they're slippery as hell. So let's get something a little more texture. Wiggle it a little bit. It's over here. Okay, let's take a look at this. It went to sleep on me. Let me wake it back up. No air. Okay, high pot. I'm gonna plug in the vacuum pump. Okay, take a look at the high pot. All right, so now we're gonna ratchet drop because there's a little bit of air trapped in here, unfortunately. I don't have the one where I could bleed the air out. So when I put this, it's gonna lose some vacuum. Supposedly this is under a vacuum. They're supposed to be nitrogen, but they gotten cheap and now they're under vacuum, which is a bad thing. Now I'm gonna open up So I'm opening up the liquid, the vapor side, opening up the liquid side. So right now, this is drawing a vacuum, 12 CFM. It has the capability of going down to 3 microns, but of course it's not. What I've noticed, this is a silicone, this goes for deep vacuum on this hose. But I usually get, okay, here we go. We're now going into, let's get some sunlight on there. Does that shine in your face? Can you read that? Mm-hmm. There we go. So now, my goal is to get this below 100 microns. Ideally, if I could get it around 30 microns would be ideal. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this nylon and put it on the threads. I have to tilt it a little bit. This is hard to do because of the angle of the valves and everything, but I want to get this way down here. Get a close up down there. Can you see? Can you get like? Can you see my tip where the nylon's coming out at? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to get it down there. If I could get my hand out of the way. And if, can you see it's all gooped down there at that angle? Okay, and so now I'm going to close it. Now nylon is very messy and attracts dust. But with that nylon there, I know when it goes down in the stem, it cannot pull vacuum past the stem. If you don't do this, you may be wasting your time. So I'm going to do the same. This is already backed out. See if you can get a close-up shot right at the tip before I squirt it down there. All right. You see it? Okay. Now I'm going to go down. It's traveling around the valve. That's more than enough. That's 10 times more than is needed. Then I'm backing it back out. So now the nylon will use gravity and it'll fall towards the shaft. I now know I cannot be leaking there. And what's our vacuum reading? Our vacuum reading, we are down to 840s, as you can see. 820s, 818, 810, 890. So we're pulling down really good, really fast. And if you look at the time, and I actually let a little air in there because the air that was inside this little stem, when I put it on there, was actually sucked into the tank. So I caused myself a little extra work, but I put this on here so I could show you. Now I could have put a adapter and then put the BluVac micron gauge on this side where the hose is, and I could have valved it off. But then I would be reading the vacuum right here at the hose before the valve. By having it over here on this other side, I'm reading the vacuum in the tank. I'm not reading the vacuum right here. If I stuck another vacuum gauge right here at this point, so now this is down to 500 microns, 490 some microns. If I had this right here, I bet you I'd be reading about 150 or 200 microns at this point, at this connection. This goes in a straw. This is the liquid side or vapor side? This is the vapor side. So the vapor side is just a short little stubby that comes into the top of the tank. The liquid one has a straw that goes all the way to the bottom like this, and it goes to the bottom of the tank like that, and it comes up into this valve right here. So I'm reading the vacuum through a long straw into the whole surface of the tank. Not at the pump, not at the connection, but of the tank. That's where you want to read your vacuum. Preferably on any system you do, you want the vacuum as far away, the vacuum meter, your vacuum gauge, as far away as possible from the source of your vacuum. So we're down to 360 microns right now. And I'll probably leave this on here for a few hours. It'll probably be down below 100 microns within the next 15 minutes, but we're not going to sit here and watch grass grow or paint dry. Our other project that Tommy's working on was putting the filter dryer. This is a high moisture content filter dryer, and that is going to go right there like this. It'll attach. We have an on-off valve right here. It'll attach here, and it goes through into the suction right there like that. Instead of keep dangling filter dryers in line or anything like that, my preferable thing is I'm going to get another one of these, maybe two more, and put them on dollies upright, and possibly put the heavier tank or the unit down below. This will sit on top, and the receiver dryer, when a receiver dryer is horizontal, the receiver dryer can fill up with a little refrigerant halfway, and it'll fill like a little water tank. And when you're pulling a vacuum, this will freeze. You don't want that. So preferably, it would be good in the upright position, the flow of the arrows going down, so all the refrigerant goes through the core and comes right out of the taper and right out of here and doesn't fill up with refrigerant. Because if I'm like this, I could fill up with refrigerant and take longer to pull the vacuum on this to get this cleaned out. So later I'll have this mounted on a unit that'll be on an upright dolly with wheels on it, and something like this will go down into the unit with a set of gauges, and it could be used either with or without gauges with some hard shutoffs. These things are pretty good at being vacuum rated. You can take them apart and put some silicone grease inside of them. You don't have to worry about them drawing vacuum through there. So this is being set up for the job tomorrow. And as you know, if any of you guys priced out fittings, you haven't bought fittings yet, you can tell just by looking inside I call this my old junk box. This is when I lost fittings and then refined fittings. You guys know how much these fittings, if you ever had to buy these fittings, you know you're paying $7, $14 a piece. You're paying, you know, $30, $40 a piece for these. These were the ones that go from 1/4 inch to Accu for automotive, R134. These are the adapters that fit right on the tanks. These are the seal right adapters, the ones that you put on and they don't lose no refrigerant. These are the ones that I used to use on my 3/8 hose for recovery and recharge from a manifold that I had 4 3/8 hose fittings on. So I had a manifold with 4 hoses and all of them were 3/8, and I used to use something like this or the ones with the open ball valve on them, and that was back in the 90s, way before that. Who's the manufacturer? Not these guys. Let's see. Way before these guys made this stuff, and way before the other company who has the black hoses. The name escapes me right now. I was using large 3/8 way back in the 90s. That's the Accu tools. Still can't remember the name of the ones that use the black hose that everyone's trying to buy, but you can make those yourself. I'll show you later on in a video to use automotive rubber hose fittings you could buy yourself, and you can make yourself several dollars, $100 in hoses for a fraction of the price. And that's it for today. You might see this up in action tomorrow, this setup at a job that we're doing 3 LG 5-ton units at tomorrow. Catch you guys later. See ya.